there's a lot of things coming up that I did not even realize. When we got to the airport to come down here, the first thing she asked us was, what is your return flight? And originally we had only booked a one-way flight because we were like, we don't know. Well, what do we get down there? We want to stay longer. Who knows? Let's just book a one-way flight. And then we changed our mind because we were like, all right, well, we have medical appointments we needed to follow up with in Hollywood. So we're just going to come back for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then we actually booked in the Bahamas after that. But, I did not know, and this was probably just me being naive, and some of you might already know this, but for the United States, you have to have a return flight booked to be able to leave the country on a passport. I had no idea.
Hi, I'm Kim Tolson, and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Building a private practice can be challenging. I know for me, when I was starting out, I had no idea how to get referrals. I had no idea how to manage paperwork. I knew nothing about insurance billing. The whole process was really daunting. Building a private practice can be challenging, to say the least. I remember when I was starting out, I had no idea how to get referrals. I had no idea how to navigate insurance. I had no idea even what paperwork was required. So growing a caseload, navigating insurance, and managing billing and paperwork all take significant amounts of time. And that's all in addition to delivering great care to your clients. That's why Alma gives clinicians the tools they need to build a thriving private practice. When you join their insurance program, you can get credentialed within 45 days and access to enhanced reimbursement rates. They also handle all the paperwork from eligibility checks to claim submissions, and they guarantee payment within 2 weeks of each appointment. So in addition to their insurance program, Alma also offers time-saving tools and administrative support, so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time delivering great care to your clients and traveling the world. Learn more about building a thriving private practice with Alma at helloalma.com/Kim. That's helloalma.com/KYM to get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. So this is my digital nomad update. If you listen real carefully, you might be able to hear the sound of waves in the background. We are sitting in Las Terrenas in the Dominican Republic. This is my first extended international travel trip. So I've gone for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I think I even went for 4 weeks one time out of the country and work and, live as a traveling therapist. But this is the longest. We're going to be here 7 weeks. Super excited about it. Kind of scared too. There's things I want to talk about. We've only been here. This was our third full day here. There's been some craziness that's happened. I want to update you guys about that and also give you some practical tips around one, finding a good Airbnb and how to deal with Airbnbs if that's how you're choosing to live as a digital nomad. I know a lot of you guys are new, the van living life and all of that stuff. But as this might be your first time listening, but some of you know I'm a digital nomad. We live in Airbnb. We travel the world and live and work and are just really trying to make a go of this as a traveling therapist. My boyfriend is an IT professional. His job title is data architect. He's a contractor. So he gets these contract jobs related to his skill set with IT. So, he can find jobs pretty easily online. They do well and allow him to be sort of relaxed and not too busy with his job. So that's how we're making that work. But we do live in Airbnb. So it's the last time I checked in with you guys, we were getting ready to land in Hollywood, Florida, which I was super excited about because we actually lived there during the pandemic and we loved it there. So like to stay in these high-rise condos in downtown, or not downtown, but like down in South Florida, sort of right outside of Miami in Hollywood. They've got tons of just high-rise condos where you can live and, 15th floor overlooking the ocean. They're gorgeous. They're not that expensive. At least they didn't used to be. They've gotten a little more pricey. But we did get an Airbnb that was one of these condos. And, I just want to talk a little bit about some red flags that we've been noticing with Airbnb. And so we've sort of been compiling the list and learning as we go. I think this is like our 41st day in an Airbnb since we've been doing this. So we do move around a lot and stay in a lot of different Airbnbs. But let's see, I just want to go through a couple of things and just tell you why. And there's tons of other stuff. So this isn't a exhaustive list. This is just the stuff that's come up in the last month. So to give you a little context, the Airbnb in Hollywood was not great. I mean, it was a beautiful view. You can't get over the view. Balcony with wraparound, oceanfront, just gorgeous. But dealing with these Airbnb owners can be really tough sometimes. So I'll get into that a little bit with some just sort of practical tips. But I also want to tell you about here in Las Vegas. So I'm sitting in a new Airbnb that we actually had not booked. We booked one right down the beach from where we are right now. We're super excited about it. I think we booked this back in May for 7 weeks. Place was gorgeous. The reviews were great. We get there. Mind you, first time being in this part of the country. We don't really speak Spanish. The owner spoke English. She was German, and her husband was German. But we got there to the place, and it was what it looked like, but it's a lot smaller. They called it a bungalow, but we didn't realize how small that was. And to be somewhere for 7 weeks kind of cramped up is already a problem. But we got there, and basically the air conditioning wasn't working right. So we complained, and we found this with a lot of Airbnb owners. They want you to tell them if there's a problem, but as soon as you do, they get super defensive because, it's their pride and joy. And the owners actually live on the premises. This is one of our tips. We're never going to rent an Airbnb again where the owner lives on the premises or behind the place or just anywhere where they can come over and sort of monitor you and be on top of you about things. So that's one thing we've decided we're never going to do again because that was the situation. The air conditioner was not working. It was, I think it was 83 inside. It was about 84 outside. So it was super hot in there. The humidity wasn't as bad, but it was hot and it was not comfortable. We were going to have to be there for 7 weeks, essentially, me working. It just was super uncomfortable. We told her, came right over and said, the air conditioner is working fine. No one has ever had a problem with the air conditioner. And I was like, I was cooking in the kitchen last night and it was almost 93 degrees in the kitchen when I was cooking. But this is not going to work. You need to fix this. And that sounds crazy, I know, but a long time ago, my brother-in-law is an HVAC guy, and Ken bought this AC temperature gun where you can check the temperature of a place. That's fine, but we have it with us. We just do. It's a long, weird story, but we do have it. So he pulls it out and he's actually testing the temperature in the apartment and says, no, it's 93 in the kitchen. It's 83 in the house. That's not acceptable. And then this happened in the Caribbean before. A lot of people saying, you just don't understand what it's like to live in the Caribbean. The air conditioner is not going to work well. You just have to get used to it and accept it. We had somebody else tell us that with bugs. We were in a place in another part of the Dominican Republic one time, and they said, bugs are just part of this, which wasn't true. We've been there 10 times before. It's just excuses that come up and people get super defensive. And this woman got so mad. She started yelling. She got super defensive. So she went to Airbnb and reported that we wanted to leave, which we never even said that. But I mean, now hindsight, we're glad we did because it was a real nightmare. So this thing escalated quickly. We're at a country where we don't even really know how to get a taxi to take us somewhere else. Luckily, there was a million Airbnbs right down the road that we could move to. So we did that. But it just escalated. And this woman's husband, at the end of when we left, we were taking our stuff out. He actually got in my boyfriend's face within an inch of his face and was arguing with him. And we thought he was going to literally fist fight my boyfriend. So terrifying thing to happen in a country where, for me, it was really scary because I don't even know how to get medical help if, for some reason, these people did attack him. So that prompted me to start making a list of all these international type things that I definitely want to do beforehand before we do any more international trips. And one is, have the information about the local hospital and how you get help if you need it. And since then, of course, I've done that. We found out the hospital is a mile from here, that there is a 911 system in the country that's not very reliable, but that you can call the hospital and hopefully somebody will come get you. Worst case scenario, we have to walk a mile to the hospital, but at least I know where that is. It's on my Google Maps now. I've saved it. So, that was terrifying experience with this Airbnb where we are right now. So, it prompted us. We've kind of been keeping a list anyway when we've had bad Airbnb experiences. But here's our little list right now. It's not comprehensive, but I think one day I might make just a really comprehensive list for people to be able to download if you're going to be staying in Airbnbs or any kind of short-term rental situation where you're not really sure what you're walking into. So let's see here. What did we come with? So this is our list. I hope this helps you guys. So in Hollywood, the situation was as soon as we booked that place, the host called me on the phone, like got my phone number off Airbnb and called me personally immediately and told me that I needed to communicate with them through phone calls only off the Airbnb app. So those of you that know me know I'm like pretty nice and I just don't really like a lot of confrontation anyway. People was like, okay. Even though if you look at Airbnb, they tell you to never go off the app because when you do that, if you have a dispute later, you completely forfeited your right because you've taken it off of their platform for safety. So that's a huge red flag and something I really should have listened to. Don't go off the app, no matter what they say, no matter how nice they are, don't go off the app. So that's a lesson learned for me because the place in Hollywood turned into a problem and I had no recourse because everything was happening in real time, face to face with these owners. And they actually lived almost on the premises too. So it was the same type of situation where they were just there wanting to meet with us and do all kinds of stuff. It was just super uncomfortable that you need a third party moderator for like Airbnb. So first red flag, they call you immediately and they want to take the conversation off the app after you book. I would definitely recommend now, don't ever do that. Another thing Airbnb tells you to never do is fill out these lease agreements. So this happened in Hollywood right after we got to the place. First of all, they're sitting in the apartment waiting for us to welcome us, which culturally, I think they were like probably Russian. I think culturally they were just trying to be nice, but it's a red flag. If the owner is there and they want to walk you around and introduce you to, like, oh, here's where we keep our spoons and here's how you work the light and all that stuff. Like as adults, we're all capable of figuring that stuff out. And it gets uncomfortable because they just come over. Like these people would just kind of be there, so that's super uncomfortable. And the other thing, when she called us in Hollywood off the app, she said, oh, by the way, we forgot to put in the listing that there's a little bit of construction going on and, it's at the pool. The pool's not in operation right now. Although on the app, of course, there's a perfect, beautiful picture of the pool that's available for you all the time. She said, but there's one right across the street you guys could use. So, I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. We don't mind. We could use one across the street. No big deal. Off the app, of course, was saying all this. She's telling me about the construction. There's nothing on the listing that says anything about construction. So huge red flag. And of course, later when we get there, we find out that there is a pool across the street, but there's only 15 passes that are available, and you have to request them days in advance. And there's like 600 units in this building. So the one time we actually tried to go to the pool, we couldn't go. And the front desk person basically laughed at us and said, that's ridiculous. There's no way you're going to get a pass. It was on a weekend. And they, said, yeah, sorry, not sorry. I called the owner. The owner was so surprised. He never even heard of these passes, which is ridiculous because of course they knew about the pass. But again, all off the app. So that was just the start of the problems with these people. There were tons of problems. I don't need to go into all the nitty gritty, but it was terrible. And I had no recourse because I was just being nice in the beginning and went off the app. So going back to what I started with the lease agreements, a lot of times when you show up at these places, like they want you to sign rental agreements, basically. And that's what happened in Hollywood. She presented us the night we got there with a rental agreement and said, you need to sign this. So not only are we off the Airbnb app, we're now signing a rental agreement that we didn't even know we were going to be signing. So this is a binding contract that holds us liable, and Airbnb is now completely out of the picture. But it's like 7 p.m. when you get there, you're exhausted from traveling. They're saying the only way you can stay here is to sign this lease agreement.
Going in-network with insurance can be tough. For example, waiting a year to get credentialed in some cases. Filing all of the right paperwork is time-consuming and tedious, and even after you're done, it can take months to get credentialed and start seeing clients. That's why Alma makes it easy and financially rewarding to accept insurance. When you join the insurance program, you can get credentialed within 45 days and access to enhanced reimbursement rates. They also handle all the paperwork from eligibility checks to claim submissions, and they guarantee payment within 2 weeks of each appointment. Once you've joined Alma's insurance program, you can see clients in your state of licensure, regardless of where you're working from. This is particularly exciting for me as a traveling therapist, as I know it is probably for you too. You can literally be anywhere and still see your clients through Alma. Learn more about building a thriving private practice with Alma at helloalma.com/Kim. That's hello, ALMA.com/KYM to get started.
So we're learning now that we need to ask ahead of time if there's any kind of lease agreement, because we're not going to do that. It puts us in jeopardy. It puts us at risk. There's a million places you don't have to do that. So I just want to put that out there. That's another sort of red flag thing to be concerned about. The next one is what I was saying before. The owner is just like near the property. So they live in the property, or they're right behind you, or they're in the same building. That's, isn't always terrible. We've had this situation a few times. It's been fine. But this situation was super uncomfortable because we had a dispute. And then, me, I hate confrontation. So I'm feeling anxious the whole time. I'm like sneaking around the building, like not wanting to run into these people. So, we were there for a month in Hollywood, and it really put a damper on the whole thing, knowing that I could just run into them and might have a confrontation, because eventually I told them I don't want to speak to them unless it's on the Airbnb app, and they got super offended by that too. So it was uncomfortable. So now we've kind of got a new rule. We're just going to book places where it looks like the owner, like place for him right now, the owner lives in France, and he's just felt like a house manager that comes over here every once in a while. Way better. We just communicate through the app and there's no problems there. Yeah. Okay. So let me go through some other things. Let's see. New lesson we've learned also is there is a monthly discount if you book with Airbnb. So ideally you would want to book these places a month out. But what we're learning is if we don't know the area, like here in Las Terrenas in, the Dominican Republic, an area we've never been to. We don't know the area at all. We booked that place for 7 weeks. So if we had not been able to get out of that, we would have been really stuck in a really terrible situation. The neighborhood was fine. That wasn't a problem, but you never know. We have been in places where the neighborhood's been terrible. Like when we went to Niagara Falls, that was awful. We were like, oh my God, we need to leave right now. The neighborhood we booked was just not great. So our new rule is we're going to book a place for maybe 4 or 5 days. If we really like the area, then we'll book one for a month if it seems like we want to stay that long and get that monthly discount. But the discount's not worth being stuck somewhere that's terrible. It's kind of where we are right now with it. So the other thing, we've had a couple of times we've had to file, like we've had to initiate a grievance with Airbnb. We didn't really know what the process was like. For the most part, they've been super helpful, Airbnb. But what we did find out is if you're in a really bad situation, this might sound a little shady, so don't judge me. But if you file a complaint after a certain time, like 10 p.m. or something like that, if the person does not respond back, the owner does not respond back, I think it's within 8 or 12 hours, then your dispute they just go ahead and push it through. They'll let you out, basically. But if you do it during the day when the person is super responsive, and if you think it's going to be a problem, you might want to wait until later in the night when maybe they're not going to be responding, to see if you can just get Airbnb to approve you leaving, or whatever the issue is, a refund or whatever you need. That's a little strategy. Like I said, it's a little shady. Don't judge me, but it's a tip. It's something that you can consider, especially with a situation where you think it's going to be contentious, or they're going to say, hell no, you booked for 7 weeks, you're staying here no matter what. I'm not letting you out of this. And I live right behind you, and I'm going to make every day of your life miserable. If it's a situation like that, you might want to initiate in the evenings when they might not be able to respond as quickly. What else I want to tell you guys about? We've learned to look really carefully at the pictures on the Airbnb app. We've looked, at duplexes. Do these duplexes look like they've got somebody above and below them or on the side? Do the walls look paper thin? Are we going to hear every single word that's coming through the walls? That's happened to us. It's terrible, and especially if you books out and you can't get out of it. See what else I want to tell you guys about. Yeah, I think I mentioned this on another one. You have to look at the photos very carefully, especially if you're trying to do beachfront or waterfront, because a lot of times the pictures will show a view of the beach. Then you find out later it's not exactly, that's the view you walk to see the beach. It's not the view you're seeing from your house. And that happened to us a couple times. We thought it was a nice ocean view when we find out, no, that's the view from the property, the edge of the property on the beach line. That's not from the apartment or the house or the condo or wherever you're staying. So we've learned to really look at those pictures and try to figure out what's going on. Ken has basically determined a system to find properties on Google Maps before we even book the place. You know how like when you look for an Airbnb or VRBO or something like that, you can see on the map like the vicinity, but you can't tell exactly where the property is. Ken has become quite the investigator with this. He'll like look in the photos for like landmarks or things that can help street signs or anything that can help him identify where the property is. And he'll go on Google Maps, on satellite view, and just try to see like exactly where does it look like this property is? How close is it actually to the ocean? Does the Google map, the Google bar photos that they've taken, Google Earth, I think it is, photos that they've taken on the satellite map. Does the neighborhood look kind of shady? Does it look scary? Does it look like there's trash out in yards? You can really zoom in and look at that stuff. So we're trying to do that as well, to just be a little like investigators with these things, because we did have one that was, they said waterfront, but it was, it was a pond in front of the apartment complex and it was mosquito infested. It was not waterfront. So you need to really investigate that too. So that's, our beginning of our list. There's a ton other little things we've learned along the way that we're trying not to do. But as you can see, we're still in the situation just these last 2 months, which has been like pretty exhausting. 2 places that I thought were just going to be amazing. And I'm so excited about it. And it's just a real disappointment when we get there and you find that these places are not great. Yeah. So luckily we got out of the one here in Las Terrenas and we actually found one right down the road for a similar price. Turns out it's a beach resort. They have a restaurant on the premises. They have a pool. They've got, we're right on the beach. They have chairs or umbrellas already out there. You don't have to drag your stuff out. It's a slice of heaven. So we're super excited. When we came over here, we only booked it for 5 days. We're like, all right, if this doesn't work out, we're just leaving the Dominican Republic. We're just going to go back to the United States and regroup and try to figure out a better plan, because this was terrible. That's how bad that confrontation was at the other place. This place seemed perfect. So after staying here 2 days, we just extended it for a month, which you can do on the app. You can contact the host and just say, hey, I want to extend this, and you can stay on the app with it, because a lot of people have tried, well, just contact the host since you're already there and just like message them privately and see if they'll give you a cheaper rate to stay longer. But, as I was saying before, lesson learned with that. So those are my like warning signs the last 2 months of my life with traveling, and then also now being international. I want to do a whole nother episode on just the international travel. In the Traveling Therapist membership this month, we are just focusing on extended international travel. It just so happened I was doing that, but so were a lot of the group members. So they had said that they wanted to focus on that. So it's convenient for what I'm doing right now, but there's a lot of things coming up that I did not even realize. When we got to the airport to come down here, the first thing she asked us was, what is your return flight? And originally we had only booked a one-way flight, because we were like, we don't know. What do we get down there? We want to stay longer. Who knows? Let's just book a one-way flight. And then we changed our mind, because we were like, all right, well, we have medical appointments we needed to follow up with in Hollywood. So we're just going to come back for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then we actually booked in the Bahamas after that. But, I did not know, and this is probably just me being naive, and some of you might already know this, but for the United States, you have to have a return flight booked to be able to leave the country on a passport. I had no idea. So luckily we had booked one. However, we booked it outside of the visa window. So another thing we learned about the Dominican Republic, and anybody listening, if you want to go anywhere, of course, you have to figure out how long can I actually stay in this country on a visa. So the Dominican Republic is 30 days. But they're like super laid back about it. And everything we read, all the expat groups and everything said, the Dominican Republic doesn't care as long as you pay per day for each day you stay over the visa window. So, and it's cheap. It's like $2 a day or something like that you stay over. So everybody says when you leave, they're just going to ask you to pay for these extra days. But our flight was booked outside of the visa window. So of course we started getting nervous. So we ended up booking a refundable flight within the visa window, just to show in case anybody asked us, because we got really nervous about it. So we did that. We got into the country and then we canceled the flight. And in the Traveling Therapist membership last week, every week, almost every week in the membership, we have an expert that comes in, whether it's me doing a Q&A or somebody that's an expert on the topic. We had Talia Brown come in. She's rebellove.com. I think it's her website, Talia. She came in. She is an expert in like extended international travel. She travels all over the place. She spent months and months and months in Thailand and just all kinds of places. And she was basically telling us her tips and tricks. And I asked her about this because she's Australian. So she's like, the United States is like the only country that even requires that you have a return ticket that she's seen. But she had to do that herself when she entered the United States for, an extended stay in the United States, just visiting. But anyway, she says that, yes, that's the thing. You always have to have a return flight, and most people just cancel it right away. But she also said there's like services out there that for like $20, they will take care of the whole flight booking process and canceling process for you. I need to follow up and get a link of the website she was talking about, but and you could probably Google it. There's services apparently that do this where you pay them $20, they take care of the whole thing. For us, we had to find the flight, we had to pay for the flight, we had to make sure it was refundable. We had to be super careful, that it wasn't just a transferable credit or anything like that. So we booked it and canceled it, but these services apparently do that for you. And it's a thing that lots of United States-based digital nomads do all the time. They use these services, especially when they're like country hopping. So little tip there. I hope that helps. I'm learning a ton of other things that I might just have an episode after this is over about just all the international travel tips that I've been learning. But that's about it. I just wanted to update you, give you some Airbnb tips from somebody that lived in like almost 40, 45 Airbnbs now. Lessons learned that we're still learning. And then also just kind of update you on this international journey that we're on. So we just got here. Probably the next update, I'll still be here. But I'll probably learn some lessons. Like I'm learning how to just navigate buying groceries and using Google Translator apps for the Spanish speaking people here. We're learning pesos and currency conversion and just all that stuff. So hopefully I'll have a totally different episode on just like tips and tricks for international travel. But anyway, so I hope that this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. This month, some of you like to know my entrepreneurial endeavors. This month, I'm focusing on being a contributor in TheraBundle. The way that works is you are able to contribute a course that you wrote or anything that you want, any product you want to offer for, free basically to the community. Anybody that buys the TheraBundle gets a bundle package. So this one is cool because it's almost 100 therapists and the price is $100. So you're going to get that much content for, essentially $100. I've been saying 100 courses for $100, but I think it's actually 84 or 87 courses is what Tamara House said. She's the one that created it. I actually recorded an episode about how she created it before this, and it's available already if you're interested in that process. It's amazing how she puts her thing together. So this is the second year. I'm contributing my Revolutionize Your Private Practice with AI course, which helps you with documentation. So progress notes, homework assignments, treatment plans, all of that stuff. It's a course that's really comprehensive on how to use AI to really make all your documentation much easier. It's amazing. That course is going to be included. It's a $97 course. I've already sold like 260 copies, I think, at this point. It's a huge hit. People love it. It's super helpful. So that's going to be included in the TheraBundle. And I'll put the link down below if you want to hop on the wait list. It's only open for 1 week. That's sort of the caveat. You have to buy it in that week or you don't get access to all the courses. So I think it's the week of the 24th through the 31st. But the way people like me make money on it is we have like what they call an affiliate link. So the link I'm going to put in the show notes is my affiliate link. So anybody that clicks that link, I get profit sharing basically for each TheraBundle course or whatever bundle that we sell basically. So I get 50%. And if you're a sponsor of TheraBundle, which I am, then your rate goes up to, I think it's like 5%. So if you use my link, that helps me earn money to continue to travel the world as a digital nomad and traveling therapist. So that's how that works. And I think she's probably going to do this every year because it's so awesome. So if you get the chance, apply. If you've got some sort of product you want to offer, it's a win-win. You get lots of exposure. People that might not know about you or know about your work will get to see your work if they're not in your audience already. And, it's a really cool way to collaborate with other clinicians. Mara Howe is amazing and everybody else in the TheraBundle is amazing. So you kind of get to know them too. So it's really fun. So anyway, that's all I've got today. I hope some of this was helpful and I'm still standing going through all this craziness, but the other positive side of it is I'm looking out at Playa Bonita and Las Terrenas, Dominican Republic. The water is crystal blue. There's coconut palm trees lining our pathway that takes us down to the beach. I posted a picture on Instagram and Facebook if you want to check it out because it's just gorgeous here. Playa Bonita Beach Residences, the Las Terrenas. It's unbelievable. So we had a bad experience happen, but it led to this actual much better place. So I'm really grateful about that. All right. Well, I'm happy traveling and we'll have more episodes coming soon. Talk to you later. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you loved this episode, please leave a review.